Hey guys, welcome to Lesson 8. In this last lesson, we're going to get to know parameters such as the white balance and color adjustments to adapt the equipment to different light situations. The human eye doesn't sort of white balance to capture all the scenes. However, it's not the same with the camera. So, we need to tell the camera what happens in each shooting situation so that it can compensate the colors. Then, what is the white balance used for? You may notice that images sometimes come out with some alterations, like with an orange shade or a cool shade. This happens because light isn't always the same. Sometimes it can reflect warm colors, like orange, and others, like blue, which are cool colors. What we are going to do is using the different features offered by the manufacturer. Here I show you the color temperature scale. It's possible to use white balance on automatic mode, but as you already know, by doing this we are letting the camera decide what to do. So, the result won't always be as we want it. Then, auto mode is okay for now, but manual one is much better, remember. As always, each manufacturer refers to these features in a different way, although they keep the same icons. For example, the sun, for instance, is useful for taking pictures with white or neutral light. Within the scale, this neutral light has a value of 5000 or 5500 Kelvin. We can use this setting in situations in which light shines directly on the object, especially at midday. It's necessary that the light comes or reaches directly on the object, because what happens, for instance, at dawn or at dusk, there's also dominant light, but colors are warm. So what's the actual task of white balance? One word: compensate. If the light is warm, it will neutralize it, and if it's warm, introduces cooler colors so that the image gets as real as possible. This compensation will depend on the icon. It is the setting we use. This one, for example, is good for shady places, while the cloud over here is great for cloudy days. In Canon cameras, the first has a value of 7000K and the cloudy 6000K. These two settings, together with flash white balance, help us to add warm tones to the scene. In case the light doesn't reach directly the object, think on a shady place or a cloudy day when the sun can't reach the object, the light gets a cooler tone. So, in order to compensate it, the camera adds a warm filter. Obviously, it will depend on the balance we are using. Flash white balance setting is supposed to be turned on when using flash. As flash throws a really bright light, the setting introduces warm tones to compensate. So guys, by using these three settings, we are going to get similar effects. Now, with this icon over here, the name, as I said, depends on the camera, is used for indoors lights, which have orange dominations. Have you ever taken a picture and it came out orange? With this setting, we are compensating undesired orange tones with cooler ones. Actually, it's a really cool tool. Don't you think so? Okay. This one is the fluorescent setting, which is not always the same in every camera. In the case of Canon, only includes one fluorescent calibrated at 4000K, while Nikon has 7 different fluorescent options. So, as I said, it depends on the manufacturer. Obviously, we don't need to be expert to control all of them, so in case you select this option but you don't get the effect you expected, you can always use the automatic mode, which works fine in this case. We can also find the setting you see over here. Let's go to the menu of the camera. And in the white balance option, you will find a lot of settings. At the end, we'll find custom setting. But again, not all cameras are the same. So in some of them, there is an icon with a K, which refers to the color temperature scale. From a point of view, it's the best option because it offers us all the colors we can work with. The only problem is that not all of the cameras include it. You can check if your camera has it or not. This one doesn't have it. Thus, we have to select any other setting we've seen, or for example this custom option, which is really useful, especially great when recording videos. The only difference is with this setting, however, it's us who have to select the best option to work with the temperature regarding the scene we are shooting and the light on it. This can be a bit complex, so we are going to see it in another course, because we need a personalized balance, and it can be quite difficult, as I said. So, now it's time to practice. We are going to try out the different white balance we can use outdoors as well as indoors. We need to make sure that these settings only affect colors and temperatures, because regarding light, there are other parameters we've seen before. This first exercise consists of taking a picture of a scene with different colors. We are going to use a lamp. We have selected previously a white wall, and this lamp irradiates warm light. So we are going to see what happens, and we are going to try different settings we just learned. Let's have a look at the scene. As you can see, we can perceive now an orange shade, even yellow, so the scene gets warmer with the light of the lamp. If we go to the menu, we see that the first setting on the screen is the automatic option. Don't forget the golden tip when using auto mode. The result might be okay, but might not. I see that in this case, it adds up warmness to the image. Try out using the option with a daylight scene, the one with the sun, which is calibrated for white light. This means that the image we get will have orange and yellow shades because of the light we are using, because it's warmer. It would be great if you tried this at home. Normally, most rooms use warm lights, while in others, like the bathroom or the kitchen, light is brighter and cooler. You'll probably notice that the sun setting tends to reflect a dominant white light in the scene. Those who like this effect, it's great. But if you aren't very happy with the orange shade, you can always work with the incandescent mode, the one of the bulb, which is used for warm lights. So, adjust it and try to take a picture. Can you see the effect? After shooting, the wall over there appears whiter and the elements get a natural tone. You can see that this effect really works. Now, next to the bulb, we see the fluorescent settings, which is designed for other temperatures. What happens if we make use of this option? Instead of compensating the orange dominant light with a blue shade, it adds up a purple shade. What we are going to see after taking a picture is that a subtle purple tone appears in the white areas of the scene. So, which are the white balance settings we must avoid in a scene like this? Remember, guys, that it's a warm scene, so don't use those settings which boost the warm shades. They are the icon of the house, which is for shades, the one of the cloud for cloudy days, and the flash white balance. Keep in mind that this last one is really useful when using the flash, since it adds natural warmness to the scene. In this particular case, the result would be too much orange. Let's go outside now to try out the white balance options in a cool light and a shady place to see which one interests us in this case. Before starting, we need to bring back the parameters learned regarding light, which are ISO, diaphragm, and speed. Now it's time to add a new one, white balance. Let me refresh you all the information we've been talking about in this lesson. White balance is thus used for changing the color of the scene. We can adjust it by using the setting given by the manufacturer. By doing this, we'll be able to change the tone towards a cooler or warmer color. Remember that the automatic mode is great for some situations, but not all the times, because it doesn't produce always the effect we desire. So that's why we are going to use the little icons we can see on the screen. So back to the exercise, we are in a shady place, and as you can see, it's cloudy. The sun doesn't shine directly on the scene. As the natural light of the scene is cool, we are going to use the shade and the cloudy icons, which are perfect for this kind of situations. Then we'll notice that the image gets warmer. This effect works really well in this type of scenes, and also it's great for those who prefer warmer tones in the scenes. We can also adjust flash white balance in order to add a warm tone to the picture. On the contrary, if we prefer a cool tone, we can use the tungsten or fluorescent light. Guys, white balance doesn't have to do with the light of the scene. So, feel free to choose the one you prefer because it's connected to color. To finish with the course, I'm going to sum up the basic stuff we've seen through the lessons. The main thing we have to keep in mind is that from now on we need to study the scene so that we can evaluate the light on it. It is its direction, intensity, and the contrast. Then we are ready to set the basic parameters. Do you recall them? There are 3 basic parameters: the ISO, diaphragm, and speed. The key issue here is organization. A good idea is to begin with establishing ISO and then work with the speed and aperture. So, if the scene we are shooting is plenty of light, we can use a low sensibility. But in case there's no enough light, we can use a higher one. The most important thing here is not to get a blurry image. Once we have established the ISO, we move to the other 2 parameters. So, if we want, for example, to reflect motion in our picture, then we need to set speed first. But on the contrary, if we are interested in focus, we'll put aperture first. But remember, it just depends on what you want to reflect on the image. Another important thing is that exposure meter is crucial when controlling these parameters. It is ISO, speed, and diaphragm. But please, don't forget that it's just a guide. So as we said, we can start always from 0 and we can change it depending on the scene. So we can overexpose it or underexpose it. It just depends on what we want to do. At the end of the course, we've talked about the white balance, which is used for working with colors. Guys, congratulations! This is the end of the course. I would like to thank you for your company during the course and the different lessons. I really hope it's been useful and that you've learned a lot. I'm sure that you might have found some difficulties during the exercises, but the best advice I can give you is to keep practicing and keep taking photos, since it's the best way to learn. Of course, I invite you to share your pictures. You can also leave a comment or ask any doubt you have about the lessons, the course, the photography. Thank you very much again, and I really hope you make the most of your camera. See you soon, photographers!